Yo, I'm on a live stream for the next 2 hours. Sorry.
Goodbye.
But in 2 hours I can surf. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Hello and good morning to those of you in the west of the world. Good afternoon to those of you in the east. Oh my God, we have someone online already. Good morning, Eri Vlog. You were so quick to click the watch live button. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Joe Nakamoto and I am the host, oh my God, of the Joe Nakamoto Show. Wow, look, it's Rick. Rick, mate, how are you, dude? How are things in your part of the world? I won't dox you. Rick is a very good person. You should follow Rick and his work around the world. He is also into Bitcoin somewhat. Well, at least I hope he is. You better be into Bitcoin, Rick. Yeah, my name is Joe Nakamoto, and this is my sort of daily show. We're doing it every Monday, Tuesday, with maybe an eye to expanding it. And the idea is to keep you up to date with Bitcoin news, with global news, and then also share some of my own projects. This is in partnership with Roxom TV. Roxom is a big old news channel that has some awesome studios around the world, including one in London, one in Hong Kong, and I believe one somewhere in the US. Maybe it's in Argentina. And yeah, they've hired some of the sort of Bitcoin commentators, analysts, and people like myself to talk about Bitcoin with you. So if you are tuning in from around the world, please do say hello in the chat. We have got some fun stuff planned today. Mostly, I'm going to hold your hand, maybe stroke your hair as we discuss the price going lower and lower. As, oh my God, Bitcoin has crashed to $104,000. Oh no. I did not imagine that I'd be saying those words on the 4th of November, 2025. But yeah, here we are. And yeah, also we've got some people from Denmark. Karna Kirk, probably said your name wrong. I'm very sorry if I had. And we have the Home Office Hustler, the HOH, all the way from sunny, glorious London. Okay, so the main thing that I want to share with you today, this is sort of your headline, is that Bitcoin has slipped to about 105K, possibly as low as 104. Just going to check the graph now. Yeah, we went to 103. It went to around $103,000 as it looks to be the case that whales are still selling quite a bit of Bitcoin. OG or long-term holders are also selling a bit of Bitcoin, probably taking profits into dollars, which makes no sense to me, but there you go. People still do take profits. Hello to Eri from Uganda. Hello to ECWK from Singapore. Good to see you guys again. Good morning. And ultimately, I mean, I'm going to bring this tweet up later. On-chain data analysts, which is a bit like tarot card reading sometimes. It's not always super accurate. I mean, the data is accurate, but the inference isn't always accurate. They suggest that large transfers to exchanges and this dip below the technical support level of about 108K has triggered a lot more fear and some more short-term selling. We are entering the extreme fear mode 4 days after Halloween. I know, it's a shame it wasn't on the 31st of October. Boo. And yeah, to show you where we are on price levels, because actually, no, let's forget the price for a second. Let's check that Bitcoin is still doing its thing, which I believe it is. Oh, look, it is. It's confirming a new block every 10 minutes on average. To get your money sent around the world in the next block, it currently costs you about 60 cents in weird fiat dollar terms, or it's 4 sats per VByte. So still relatively cheap to send money around the world without a middleman. Still extremely cheap to hold your own Bitcoin and to take self-custody, which is what we all care about, you know. Someone, Joel, is in Switzerland and Portugal at the same time. Teach me your ways. I would love to be able to do that at the same time. We can see that we are getting closer and closer to a difficulty adjustment, which is coming in 8 days. And the previous block was confirmed 24 minutes ago. So we've been waiting more than 14 minutes longer than usual. And it was mined by Maripool, another American Bitcoin miner. In my opinion, miner centralization is still the biggest threat to Bitcoin. It is not quantum computing. It is not whales. It is not Satoshi coming back. It is miner centralization. Some people talk about it. A lot of people don't because quantum is sexier. But yeah, miner centralization, bit of a concern. And that's why we should all be mining at home in various ways, particularly keeping our offices and our spaces warm. Okay, so before we jump to our guest this morning, who is a friend of mine called Arnold, he is a Bitcoin traveler. He is a Bitcoin nomad, and he's also quite high up in the My First Bitcoin program. Yes, correct, Rick. Bitcoin is indeed on sale. Great news. As Arthur Hayes would have said, if you like Bitcoin at 125,000, you're going to love it at $103,000. Let's bring up the price. Let's show it now. So according to TradingView, which is using Bitstamp, I usually use Bitfinex. I don't know why I'm using Bitstamp, but there you go. We dipped below the 200-day moving average. And when we dip below the 200-day moving average, we tend to stay here for about 6 weeks. So in my opinion, we're going to crab around the 100 to 112K mark until about Christmas. Not financial advice, of course. I don't know what I'm talking about, but this is where I think we're at, and this is where I think we're going to hang out and stay. So if you are a long-term hodler, someone that looks to DCA into Bitcoin on a regular basis, then baby, it's cheap. Time to load up. Don't bother trying to time the market. Don't bother trying to do anything fancy with leverage. Just slowly DCA. Think about what your life will look like in 5, 10, and 20 years' time. Again, not financial advice, because if it were, then I wouldn't be allowed back into the UK, the world's favorite draconian state. I'm kidding. I think I'm kidding. Who knows? Okay, so some tweets that have caught my eye this morning. One was from Nick Crypto. Oh God, dirty words. Sorry, I didn't issue a trigger warning before saying that. Nick Crypto is the head of CoinDesk, or he co-founded CoinDesk, and he shared that the market absorbed 400,000 BTC in OG supply being sold across the course of October. So basically, there was a huge amount of Bitcoin sold from OGs across the entirety of what we refer to as October. And yet the price stayed comfortably, I should add, comfortably above $100,000. Whatever you feel about it, that shows strength. And eventually the selling will slow down. Glass half full. He's calling for optimism, which is also kind of my bag. I like doing that too. And I think what Nick is sharing here is quite good news, but also it's a little bit alarming, right? When you hear that OGs are selling, you're like, why are OGs selling? Why are they not holding until they die? But equally, I think for a lot of OGs, and this is from private conversations with some of them, so I'm not going to share their names or their details, they've been holding since Bitcoin was $5, $10, $30, $100. I don't know what it would feel like to hold an asset that long and watch it do multiples in accretion and in value creation. And then you sit there when it hits 100K and you don't turn to your 3 kids and wife, or your husband, whatever it is, and you say, yeah, let's finally upgrade our house. Let's finally upgrade our car, whatever it may be. Quite a few OGs that have done just that. One bought a Lambo, classic, but he sold it like 2 weeks later because he realized it was a waste of time. But that is, I totally understand why an OG would sell, particularly at this sort of interesting price level of $100,000. The next piece of news I want to share with you was from our favorite Bitcoin spokesperson. Maybe it's not your favorite, but Jack Mallers is someone who is just incredibly good at talking about Bitcoin and at breaking it down in a way that ultimately sounds quite bullish and quite positive, and in a way that speaks to the mainstream. I think he's one of our best commentators, and he is so young. He's only like 30 or 31 years old. He's basically my age, and he is absolutely cracking at talking. So I'm going to show you this clip.
What's the end game for you? Is it just to buy as much Bitcoin?
Oh, by the way, can you hear this clip? This is the first time I'm showing a clip live. Can you hear it?
As you can and hold it for as long as possible and never sell it?
That's one of the goals, yes. But I think what makes us different than a lot of these other businesses is we plan to build Bitcoin products as well. I mean, the founding group is Tether and myself. I founded and lead Strike, is one of the bigger Bitcoin financial services firms in the world. Tether, obviously, is one of the most impressive companies in the history of humanity, but specifically in building massive cash flows within the space. So Paulo and I, before we were CEOs, we were engineers. We built a lot of products.
By the way, when he says Paulo there, he means Paulo Arduino, the CEO of Tether and the CTO of Bitfinex, the guy that Jack Mallers built this 21 company with, a Bitcoin treasury strategy company.
And so we plan to not only acquire as much Bitcoin as possible, raising capital in all sorts of deep capital pools, but also build products, build technology, build tools. I think when people eventually think of 21, it's, are they a competitor to Coinbase? Are they a competitor to Strategy? For us, why not both? We think we have that potential.
Do you envision a future where
This is a
Bitcoin
good bit.
treasury companies such as Strategy, Mara, and you guys end up buying so much Bitcoin that
I just want to stop and jump into this this comment here, because the newscaster describes Mara, which is supposedly a Bitcoin mining company, as a Bitcoin treasury company, which isn't right. But then again, Mara is also accumulating Bitcoin whilst it's also mining Bitcoin. So an interesting strategy, and clearly a gap in the interviewer's knowledge. But Jack doesn't correct them. He just cracks on all the same. But basically the crux of this question the newscaster is asking is what a lot of newbies and normies say. And also some Bitcoin beginners get caught up in this question, right? They think that because you have Michael Saylor buying up loads and loads and loads and loads of Bitcoin, there's actually not going to be enough for the rest of everyone. And therefore Bitcoin won't be this great equalizer and this great wealth redistributor, which is quite a nice idealistic way of approaching Bitcoin, right? It's like, oh, Bitcoin is going to make everyone wealthy equally. And that's wrong, because life is unfair and there is no system which is entirely fair. And when humans try to create systems that are entirely fair, they end up creating socialism, communism, sort of spin-offs of like extreme wealth redistribution strategies, which always end up with corruption. So when it comes to Bitcoin, well, I'll let Jack answer the question first, and then I'll jump in with my sort of comments on this, because this is something I get all the time from Bitcoin beginners.
there really isn't actually much left out there on the open market for people to trade. After all, it is a fixed number of Bitcoin, so no more will be created once it reaches that number.
Right. You know what's fascinating about the asset, and it's not intuitive because it's so rare, is that, to your point, it is definitively scarce. So if everyone in the world wanted an iPhone, Apple could make more. If everyone in the world wanted a McDonald's cheeseburger, McDonald's could make more. The fact that Bitcoin cannot increase its supply means the new supply comes from the market. If you want more Bitcoin, you don't go to the Bitcoin factory to get one. You have to go up in price. Is there enough Bitcoin for me at 120,000? No. Okay, 130, 140, 150. So I tell you what, there's always Bitcoin available. Just depends on what you're willing to pay for it. And so what I think will happen is this price will continue to discover higher because Bitcoin is the scarcest thing. It's inelastic to the amount of demand that searches for it. So the amount of buying power that we're seeing from the capital markets, from the ETFs, and potentially from nation states like the United States, I think they'll find the
Potentially. By the way, if you are looking to buy the domain name, thebitcoinfactory.com, I have just looked it up because that is a great company name or a great meme name. And it is currently on offer for 91 euros. So thebitcoinfactory.com, go out there and buy that before Jack Mallers or one of Jack Mallers' entrepreneurial friends decides to set that up into a company. But the crux of what he's saying here is that there are loads and loads and loads of buyers of Bitcoin. Like we've seen this with Strategy, even though we don't actually know where the Bitcoin is coming from. We think it's coming from Coinbase, but we're not sure. Staler is buying up a lot of Bitcoin. Mallers, Jack and Paolo Arduino, they are buying up a lot of Bitcoin with 21. There are companies mining Bitcoin. There are companies and institutions hodling Bitcoin. There are nation states buying Bitcoin, some of them completely privately, of course. But the price keeps trending lower and lower. Why is that? Well, it's because you've got a lot of these OGs selling, a lot of these people offloading. I know people personally who are selling decent chunks of Bitcoin at these prices to invest in other things, which will then lead to greater Bitcoin generation in the future, or at least that's their hope, right? So don't be put off by the current awful price action, the current crabbiness of the market. There are still lots and lots of buyers out there, but yeah, there's a load of sellers too. And as Jack says, you can't just go to the Bitcoin factory and ask them to create some more Bitcoin. There is a very, very, very scarce amount of Bitcoin left. And I'm not willing to sell it. I mean, I'm willing to use it. I'm willing to spend it, but I'm not willing to sell my Bitcoin for dollars. Certainly not at these prices. And there are many other people that do this too. Correct, Queen. Long hair, don't care. All right. That was really, listen to the last couple of seconds of Jack. Who can dislike this man?
Supply they're looking for. They're just going to have to go get it at a higher price.
There you go. They're just going to have to go get it at a higher price. There you go. This is how it is. Okay, I've got a couple more tweets I want to share with you before we bring on our dear friend Arnold into the conversation this morning. The first one, this just made me laugh because a lot of people were tweeting about how Bitcoin, the Bitcoin price follows the M2 money supply. And this commentator has put the M2 chart over the top of the Bitcoin chart. And you can see that M2 has gone up and to the right for the past couple of months. And Bitcoin has just crabbed for the past, 2.5 months now? So yeah, don't listen to commentators. That includes me. Do not listen to us commentators. We are mostly making content and making fun of things. We are not oracles. We do not know where Bitcoin is going to go, although we will say certain things with confidence. And I know that I did start off the show by saying that Bitcoin is probably going to crab until Christmas. I still stand by that, but I could absolutely be very, very wrong. Good morning to Johnny Midas, not sure how you pronounce it. Greetings from Palm Springs, California. That sounds like a glorious place to live. It just sounds awesome, doesn't it? Very cool. In other news, Crypto Hayes, i.e. Crypto Hayes, i.e. Arthur Hayes, has just shared a new essay, which sadly I didn't have enough time to read this morning because I was rushing, but I'm going to read it this afternoon because although he is a massive crypto pump and dumper, he knows a lot about the market and he speaks to a lot of people that know a lot about the market. So I will pin that to the comments today and I'm going to read it this afternoon. Sorry about that. I was supposed to read it. And then the final tweet I wanted to discuss was regarding the 10 largest assets in the world. And basically, Bitcoin is the only one that's red over the last month. How hilarious is that? That is just the funniest outcome. Gold is up, Nvidia is up, Apple up, Microsoft up, Alphabet, Amazon, Silver, Broadcom, and Saudi Aramco all up. Bitcoin down because the honey badger don't care. So I hope this continues until Thanksgiving because personally I think it's hilarious that a lot of Americans, North Americans, etc., have to sit around a table and explain to their family and friends why their price is down. Because often with Bitcoin, I just find that the most hilarious outcome is usually the outcome that happens. Everyone thought that October would be the best Uptober on record, and yet we had another hilarious outcome, i.e. Bitcoin went down. So yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. We are going to bring on our guest now. In terms of what I'm doing, I'll be publishing a video about how early we are today. I'm going to be finishing a video about a Bitcoin Paradise Island this weekend that I'll publish on my YouTube channel. And to those of you who are jumping in, we are live on Roxom TV. Roxom TV is the best place to check out Bitcoin and world news. Okay, so let's go to my my guest for the day. His name is Arnold. He's someone who I've met in various exotic locations around the world, and he is a Bitcoin educator, Bitcoin advocate, and he is quite high up in the My First Bitcoin or Mi Primer Bitcoin program. If you're not familiar with what Mi Primer Bitcoin is, well, don't worry, because I'm just going to ask him instead. So let's bring him up to the stage. Good morning, Arnold. You are live. This is the best show ever. How are you today, mate?
Good morning, Joe. How are you doing? Doing great.
Good. Can I ask where in the world you are? Is that something you're willing to share publicly?
Always. I live out of a suitcase, but currently that suitcase is in Portugal.
Oh, you are in. I remember you texting me about this. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Up near Ericeira, right?
Yeah, we changed location a bit, so now I'm south of Lisbon.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so are you ready for the storm that's about to roll in?
Kind of, yeah. I heard something about bad weather coming, but I didn't pay too much attention to it.
Fair. It's this is the time of year when Portugal gets absolutely rinsed with storms. So make sure you've got decent windows.
Maybe
cool.
Check out Nazaré with the big waves, but yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah, it will be big wave season very soon. As Home Office Hustler says, Força Portugal. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, Macy. So we have met in quite a few places around the world. And as I understand it, are you still working full-time at My First Bitcoin or Mi Primer Bitcoin?
More full-time than ever before.
More full-time than ever before. Okay. So for those of you, those listening at home who aren't familiar with My First Bitcoin, could you briefly talk them through what it is, why it's in Spanish mostly, not in English? Why is there a company name in Spanish? And what you do there. Just give us a brief overview.
Yeah, good question. Actually, this is a good timing to explain what My First Bitcoin is because it is changing. A lot of people know it as Mi Primer Bitcoin from El Salvador, teaching people. And I would say from soon on, it will be My First Bitcoin. So really the international part. We teach the teachers, so we don't teach the students, and we do it worldwide. So what we've been doing for 4 years is we taught individuals that wanted to learn about Bitcoin, I think we reached 25,000 students in person. And now more and more we try to help educators to teach themselves. So they have become the teachers, and we train the trainers. So that includes a lot of curricula, workbooks. The Bitcoin diploma is a famous, the flagship of the curricula, but many more tools. Online school, we try to build a social layer for educators so they can connect to each other. I think almost every circular economy in the world is now part of our node network. And that's what we try to do, build this network of educators with tools for them, social layer for them, and basically everything they need.
That's awesome. I'm going to pop in the chat just now that if anyone wants to ask you a question, then they should feel free, and they can ask you questions about anything from Bitcoin education to how to get started with the Bitcoin community or Bitcoin circular economy to what it's like in El Salvador, as Arnold has spent extensive periods of time traveling around El Salvador, documenting what Bitcoin is like there. And he is originally from the Netherlands, but he has visited. Wait, let's just ask you, how many circular economies or sort of projects around the world have you visited, Arnold? Have you kept track?
I don't know the number, but yeah, like Bitcoin Beach, Bitcoin Jungle, Lago Bitcoin, Curacao, Madeira, of course, Arnhem, Bitcoin Island in the Philippines. And then there are a lot of projects as well that are they officially a Bitcoin circular economy, like Nairobi. There's so much happening there. I think it is like a Bitcoin project almost, with all the small projects together. So much there, yeah. Lately, less and less, but yeah, I've been visiting a lot of them.
Okay. And what do you do day to day for like My First Bitcoin? Like, what does a Bitcoin job look like at My First Bitcoin?
So currently my role description is Director of Communication Events, which means that I take care of everything that has to do with the unconferences. So we organize educator unconference around the world, three a year. We're going to have our 7th one next week before adopting Bitcoin. So what we try to do is we bring 150 Bitcoin educators together, and basically everyone is a participant. So it's not like there's a speaker and an attendee, but everyone comes on stage, everyone has something to pitch, and then there are breakout rooms, etc. So that's one part of my job, to work on the logistics with a team. And the other side is the communication, which includes everything that has to do with from social media to websites to also the onboarding of a lot of the educators worldwide with our node network. Mm-hmm. And from next month on, maybe early January, there will be another role, which is about fully about the node network, the education network. So make sure that we can serve educators all over the world with whatever they need based on our toolbox.
Okay. I'm just sharing the screen for people interested around the world, because I mean, a lot of people know who Lynn Alden is, and Nothing Stops Us Train. A lot of people are aware of, Coinbase and Brian Armstrong, or Saylor and MicroStrategy. But this is a project that is totally grassroots, that is fully open source, and that is like, talk us through the funding. Like, how are you keeping this project alive? Like, you, as I understood it, there was a whole HQ in San Salvador, several staff. How do you keep it alive?
Great question. So I think the bottom line, the best summary, what we do is independent education. We want to be impartial, community-led. So we do receive funding, but everything is no strings attached. So it is mainly donations from Bitcoiners, grassroots community that support what we do, and partially also from grant facilities. So HRF, Start Small, Reynolds Foundation, OpenSats, like all these big initiatives that support open source movements. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's it. Like, there are a couple of companies that donate, but it's less and less, and everything, no strings attached. So you donate to us and we give back to the world, to the community, and that's how we work.
Okay, interesting. And if people wanted to take the Bitcoin diploma, for example, like I have actually taken a Bitcoin diploma at My First Bitcoin. I have also overseen some of the classes you've done in San Salvador. And what else have I done with My First Bitcoin? I've just sort of like watched this free open source education program evolve from a teeny tiny grassroots thing in San Salvador to being one of the most recognized brands within the education space of Bitcoin. But if someone watching wanted to take the Bitcoin diploma, would they have to pay? Like, how does it work? And also, what's the point of them taking a diploma?
Right. Yeah. So the context is as well that we started in 2021 without a curricula, without a team. And then 2 years later, 2023, the first projects worldwide started to reach out. Bitcoin Ekazi, Amity Age, Bitcoin, Lago Bitcoin. So then it started to become international. And now 3 years later, there are 70 projects teaching it worldwide. And with that, the community grows. And with that, there are also more translations available, and everyone can take the workbook and translate it themselves. And then we open source it again. So what you can do is basically don't ask permission and just take it and work on it. that's the main point. Don't wait for us to tell you that you can get started with teaching. Yeah, so go to the website, download the Bitcoin diploma. On GitHub, we have the educator lesson plan guides as well. We have an online school that if you want to run online cohorts, we can set you up with like a free digital classroom. We have this node network where we have the map is broken, but there are 70 projects, many of them in Africa. And we're fixing it as we speak. But we try to connect educators with educators worldwide, so they can also exchange best practices, basically, and challenges and struggles in meetings that we have with them. So yeah, that's it. Don't ask permission, take the workbook, create proof of work, and then come to us, and we help you set up even more than what's maybe available when you looked on the website.
Nice, man. So the idea is that in the next 5 years, the entire world will have a node, like with at least within its country boundaries, right?
Yeah, maybe if you go to the menu on the top right, there is one, and you scroll down, transparency, I think, and then global educational impact, that one. Yeah, that shows a little bit better what's going on worldwide, because there's a lot, and this takes a second to load because it's a lot of data. This is the whole, if everyone is interested, maybe there is already a node in your area and they're looking for support, like that you can volunteer with them, you can help them run their cohorts, and there are so many projects. Well, you can see it, like 5 in Nigeria, 4 in South Africa, like everywhere, and all of them teach cohorts, some online, some in person, some do it for years already, some just get started. And
that's crazy.
I
mean, it's interesting because yesterday I had on Rogsy from Plan B Network, and they do very similar work where they're trying to bring Bitcoin education all across. Do you ever collaborate with them? Do you work? Do you share ideas with them? Like, what's your relationship like with those guys?
Not so much like direct collaboration, except that we basically serve the same people. It's the same with Treasure Academy. They're also working with a lot of these projects, and they find their resources wherever they need it. So it can be Plan B Network. We offer a lot of tools, etc. So yeah, the idea is, I think, the same. Just think maybe we focus a little bit on different like details. But yeah, education networks, I think that's the future. It's how that's the only counterforce against institutional Bitcoinization, I guess.
So this is fighting the institutions are coming narrative. Like, you're actually teaching people how to use Bitcoin on the ground. What are like the core values then of My First Bitcoin? Is it going to spin off and create a treasury company anytime soon, for example?
We're going to spin off in like 1 million grassroots circular economies where everyone is empowered to teach. Good. That's really the goal.
I'm apparently, how come your channel does not show the @ when people comment? That I don't know. I don't know why it does that. I guess you just chuck the @ in front of it anyway, right? But I'm using StreamYard. Does that make anything different, UK Bitcoin Master? I'm just addressing one of the questions in the comments there. Okay. So you've been working in for 2 years now, and as I understand it, the El Salvador footprint is decreasing. Is that right?
Yes.
Why is that happening?
I think multiple reasons. The big one is that the global needs is increasing. Like I said, we started teaching in one country, and that's the ceiling. And in the past 2 years, we went from like a second, a third project teaching the curricula to like 70. Actually, there are 7 more in the past month. So there is a big need and demand worldwide for the resources that we create. And then secondly, I think what we've been achieving in El Salvador, like at a certain point you achieve things, right? We taught in the public schools, we ran meetups like every month, we do so much locally. So it's a mix of, I guess, situations in El Salvador change and the needs in the world increase like exponentially.
Absolutely. But where are you seeing the main places for Bitcoin education? Like, okay, and also let's get abstract about this. Like, because in an ideal world, I'd be in North Korea advocating for Bitcoin, right?
Right. Yeah.
Where do you see as like the main places for, true grassroots Bitcoin education?
That's a good question because like, yeah, I talk a lot with all these projects, and there are some places that I did never expect it to do so well. Like Zambia, there are a lot of projects in Zambia that are teaching, and they grow rapidly. So that is one that I really enjoy. Well, Kenya is amazing as well. There's so many projects there, and all grassroots. But like in terms of like really needs. Well, we don't have people in North Korea. We have some educators in places like Cuba or Afghanistan, or like it's more difficult to teach. But it's at the same time also really difficult to scale up in those situations. So like where it's like really exponentially growing, like Zambia and Kenya and Indonesia as well. They're doing great work.
Zambia? What is going on in Zambia? Why?
So yeah, if you ever plan to travel to Zambia, check out Bitcoin Victoria Falls. They've been running, I think, 12 cohorts, and then they have a spin-off. Like what happens a lot in our node network is that people that graduate as a student, they become a teacher. So they feel empowered to take the resources and become a teacher. So there's like Bitcoin Campus Zambia, there is Bit Junior Space Academy, there's a lot of spin-offs of let's say the first original project that then start to teach as well, and it's like a cascading effect. And exactly the reason why, I don't know, besides that, like it has a very good base with Bitcoin Victoria Falls, and I really recommend checking that one out.
Have you been there personally?
No, but I would love to.
Okay. I mean, isn't that not one of the key challenges though? You're providing funding and support for countries all around the world in a space that, let's be honest, like the Bitcoin/crypto space is full of scamming people, scammers. It just welcomes a lot of those people. So I guess my question is, how do you ensure that the work is being done? Like, what evidence do they provide, or do you even care? Do you just think, no, this is it, this is free open source, we're trusting you to be good Bitcoiners?
Yeah, but maybe to start with your question, we don't do funding of these projects because that's the whole point. We want to be independent as My First Bitcoin, and then we're going to be capturing others by giving them money every month, and then they are not independent anymore. So like, yeah, we advocate for independent education. So that means that all the local community should be independent as well. What we do instead is we support them if they are applying for grant facilities on their own with their own projects and their own plan. Like they can take our best practices to apply for OpenSaaS or HRF, whatever, and we also share our blueprints with them, and then we help them to scale up basically based on our own proof of work. So that's the first thing, and then secondly, it is really hard to track. You're right, what's happening, because every month I find projects worldwide that run a cohort of the Bitcoin diploma that I did not know about. I did not reach out, and then you invite them to join the movement, right? So it's almost the opposite. Like it's spreading so rapidly, and I have no idea where it comes from and how it started. So yeah, that's, I guess, the power of open source. Like it's hard to track, which is good.
I mean, we have a quibble from one of the comments here. He says, I just noticed the only node in Australia is run by an account that also promotes Stacks as an L2 on Bitcoin. Oh my God, terrifying stuff here, guys. Stacks as an L2 on Bitcoin. Is Stacks really an L2? Is it a great big affinity scam using Bitcoin? Is it? So yeah, how would you handle this from Aussie HB, who I guess is down in Australia, if he's online now as well?
Yeah.
What do you think, Arnold?
I was slightly aware of this. So this may be important to explain as well, is that the network of educators is like sometimes it looks like I'm the central point of failure, like I'm the spider in the web connecting to all the educators, but we want it to be self-governing, right? We want to learn from Bitcoin. So we want the network to also be resilient. So it's not if my first Bitcoin is gone, that the entire network is losing its elements, its power. So what we do is the governance is also decentralized. So the nodes in the projects, they vote on new applications, and they also maintain certain values. And in this case, it is on our radar, I guess. They're part of the network. But in the past, we've also had projects in Zimbabwe that were promoting, what was it? I think rootstock and tokens into the curricula. And then the full nodes come to a conclusion. It's like, okay, everyone that joins the network signed an MOU. We're Bitcoin only, independent, impartial, community-led. We focus on empowerment over trading, and we do quality education. If you don't do that, then you break the MOU. You're not part of the network. So in this case, thank you, Ozzy. I have to look into it once more and bring it to the radar. But this is, and then there's always the gray area, right? Like, what is Bitcoin only? Is Stacks L2? Is it not Bitcoin? And but it's also like I'm not the person that kicks people in and accepts people. Like, we do it as a network. I think that's how it should be. So it's decentralized.
That is quite an interesting one, because they might be teaching My First Bitcoin in its curriculum correctly, but they're also sponsored by or in partnership with the Stacks Australia Foundation. So, I mean, and also Stacks is one of those things where some Bitcoiners are like lenient about it and some are quite hardcore.
Yeah.
Like it isn't an L2 because you can't unilaterally exit to the L1, but
right.
It's kind of
and
Bitcoin.
It's very simple. For My First Bitcoin, we do introductory Bitcoin education, and I don't think that necessarily all types of sidechains and whatever is part of introductory education. So if you read the Bitcoin diploma, it is still introductory education. So if you teach that, like, of course, everyone can take it and add to it whatever they want. That's also, again, the power of open source, but it does not mean that this is part of what we believe in and what we want the network to like advocate, right? I think that's all we have, integrity, and we need to protect it. So this is an interesting case that I slightly was aware of, but
nice man. I don't mean to grill you on a
no.
morning. It's kind of fun as well, but also, like, this is the brilliant thing about the Bitcoin community, right? There are no flies on a lot of Bitcoiners. You know, they are very, very switched on, and they're very quick to spot, like, are they affinity scamming? Are they, swindling people somewhere? With this one, it's tricky, right? Because, Stacks might have given them some money, and that's why they've put that on their account. But they might also just be talking the My First Bitcoin program with curriculum.
It is very difficult as well. Sometimes it's the same in journalism, but also independent education. Like, you need funding, right? And who is going to fund you if you are not changing your narrative or your story or your articles or your curricula or what you teach? So every project is facing the same struggles in terms of funding, and everyone is solving it differently. Like, you can charge for classes. Is that perfect? Well, eventually someone needs to pay the bills. You can apply for grants, but then everyone is applying to the same grants. You want to have grassroots donations, but again, like, Bitcoiners prefer to hodl than to spend or donate, even though there is this value for value economy happening now. So it is a difficult topic, especially also for My First Bitcoin. We want them to be independent, but we cannot support them with money because then they're losing independence. So it's a little bit this dance that you always have with the projects.
No, I totally get it. And I mean, we've got a follow-up question here. But by the way, well done, well managed with that question there. It is tricky, basically, right? We are in a space that is that has certain. They're not even like guardrails. They're like feelings, And how do you manage that when you are running such a large operation that has this trust and autonomy at the core? But Nice Action asks, what sort of size Lightning channels do you have on the nodes? Because presumably you've got quite a few nodes running. Hey.
So the nodes is just like the terminology we use to explain like a project in our network. I've heard this is confusing. So they do run nodes on their own, but it's not that they're connected with each other as Lightning channels. It's more like the social layer of Bitcoin in a network. So for example, let's say Bitcoin Ekazi is a node, but we talk to each other. Right, that's the Lightning channel. It's the communication channel that we have between all the educators, and not necessarily like a Bitcoin Core or LND node, the technical side. Like, of course, they run it, but that's not the part of what we're doing. And I can see how the terminology can be confusing, but as soon as you understand that this is a network of projects that we call nodes, then you start to see it's more than hardware.
Okay, yeah. So they don't necessarily have to be connected to the My First Bitcoin node. These actual
No.
nodes. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, that's what we try to build, is that they should connect to each other. Like, not always come to me for support, but they should talk to other educators in their area about, like, for example, let's say you're teaching chapter 6 of the Bitcoin diploma and you want a guest teacher. Well, you can ask me, but you can ask anyone in the network to help you with chapter 6, because everyone speaks the same language, right? It's the same protocol for education. So you can really support each other on like this level that is not, I guess you don't speak LND, but you speak the diploma. That's why we are the nodes.
Okay. Let's talk more emotions instead. Like, we've done a few technical things. We've addressed a teeny tiny controversy. What's the most powerful, or maybe one of the more unexpected moments you've had while working at My First Bitcoin?
Ooh, I love this, because now we can also talk about the real projects, the people creating proof of work worldwide. And I think they deserve all the credits, even though My First Bitcoin is often seen as, like, I guess, the umbrella nonprofit, but like, no, they are independent. Okay. There's a lot of really special projects. One of them that I really admire is the Core in Kenya. They ran 11 cohorts now, and many of their graduates start to become teachers. So there's a project in Nigeria that ran 5 cohorts. He used to be a graduate, and now he graduated like 100 people. And then some of their graduates started another project in South Africa, or 2 of them actually, to also finish their first cohorts. So you can see how this layer of empowerment is like really like this rippling effect worldwide. So that's one of the things I love. And then also, like, an educator in Haiti, for example, also was a graduate.
In Haiti?
Yes.
There are educators in Haiti. Okay. That's mad.
And that's what I was about to say. Like, before they started teaching the Bitcoin diploma, they had to get solar panels and Starlink and like a physical building before they could start teaching. They translated the diploma into Haitian Creole, and now they finished 2 cohorts, and it's really, really impressive to see what they're doing. Like, their point where they started from is so different than what I think when I talk about Bitcoin education, right? Or one more example, because now you get me going. There is BTC Schule
in talk whatever you want. Yeah, passion is.
There's a project in Burundi. Burundi, they taught 2 cohorts now so far with young kids. They don't have internet. Like, they use Bitcoin as eCash, mini bits wallets. So they have whole different situations to tackle before they start teaching. And then there's another one, Bit Junior Space Academy in Zambia. They teach children of like 7-8 years old. They cannot read, they don't have a wallet, but they can explain you what Bitcoin is, right? So like, there's so many different angles and layers of how this is implemented all over the world, and all stories are different. And yeah, it's really inspiring.
No, I've got to call bullshit on this. So you're saying that there is a node, a My First Bitcoin node in Burundi, and despite the fact that they don't have reliable internet or internet at all, they're able to not only teach Bitcoin but also use Bitcoin.
Yes.
How?
So the point is that when users, let's say students, are walking around, they don't have Wi-Fi or they don't have internet, right?
Yeah.
But when they are going to a merchant, the merchant, the store owner, does have Wi-Fi likely. So to receive money with eCash is possible. To send money, you don't need Wi-Fi with eCash. So that's how they tackle this situation there. And actually, there are a couple of really cool videos. I don't know if you can pull one up
can share
on the stream, because...
Or ping it to me on Telegram and I'll bring it up on the stream.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, we are trying to work out on the fly how to share a video of someone using eCash in Burundi.
I first have 2 videos of the graduations of this project, so that people can have kind of idea how this looks like.
I have no idea what. I have actually friends that used to work in Burundi, and I met them in the Ivory Coast when I was living there. And the stories they shared of Burundi were wild. I know one Bitcoiner from Burundi, who really nice guy who I was hanging out with in, I can't remember if it was South Africa or if it was Ghana, and he was telling me all sorts of stories about Burundi, and I was just there like, I just don't know if I believed him, because it just sounded so extraordinary to be using Bitcoin in one of the poorest places on the planet, where electricity isn't stable, water isn't clean. I mean, like, just if you Google Maps or Google Earth, even Burundi, you're like, it makes you very, very grateful and very, very, aware of just how lucky we are in the West to have certain things. Because it's a beautiful country, but it's a very, very poor country. And it's just, and the weird thing is, it's next to Rwanda, which is arguably one of the best performing countries in Africa. And Tanzania, which also a lot of people know of Tanzania because of safaris, because of
Kilimanjaro.
Kilimanjaro. It's next to Kenya. Like, they are East African powerhouse countries, and just next to it you have Burundi and then the DRC. Like DRC, of course, like a war-torn country. Burundi.
There's also a project in DRC teaching the diploma. They're going to start teaching it.
Wow. Okay. So there you go. The Democratic Republic of the Congo was also where there was a Bitcoin mining project that saved a national park, if I remember right.
Yes, with gorillas or the animals. Something like that. Yeah.
And they basically realized that they could offset the cost of closing the national park during the pandemic with Bitcoin mining. And then since then, they've also started making Bitcoin mining chocolate. So cocoa beans that are dried from the heat of Bitcoin mining in the national park. In fact, I need to get on the guy that did this project in the DRC, because it is fascinating and it's just sick to know. I tried to go out there personally, but insurance isn't really going to cover it when there's guys walking around with AKs and civil war is sort of like on the agenda every other day.
Last week we had a meeting with all the educators, and the one from DRC also explained that I think the government closed all the banks in the country recently. So he is like, okay, this is the time that we really should start educating. And we don't even know their stories. Like, we hear the headlines about some semi-West countries, I guess, that are more connected to our social media. But in DRC, there's also a lot happening I guess, with the banking infrastructure. But
gosh, okay. Oh, I know this. This is the guy that I was mentioning. I've forgotten his name. I'm going to bring up the tweets in just a moment. I'm just getting them lined up. There we go. That's the next one. Bitcoin, Vic Falls, Haiti, and Bit Junior Academy. Okay, cool. I've got tweets lined up. I can now go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so the first one was from BTC Schul, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. But this is, in areas without internet or banking access, we use solutions that meet local needs, like those built on the Cashew BTC protocol. With this tech, offline transactions are possible, like this child buying a donut with sats on an onboarded shop. And then, should we play the video?
Yeah, let's go.
Ooh, apparently I clicked on the wrong thing there, sorry. The kid walking into the shop. Click on accept here. Can you hear okay, the cheesy music?
I hear the sound, yes, definitely.
I'm gonna dip it a little bit.
Better.
So they're negotiating or something about paying in Bitcoin there. The guy has a jug in front of him. I don't know what that jug is for, but this is quite typical for South Africa, isn't it? So what's he doing now? He's going on to mini bits. He's typing send, then send cash. And he's putting it is that him putting it in his currency?
Or select a mint, I don't know.
Oh, selecting a mint, okay. So he shows that to the shop dude, who then scans it. I have no idea what's happening here. I mean, I've done 2 eCash payments in my life, though. Also, he bought 2 of these things. What are
2
they?
donuts for 16 sats. Or
16 sats for a donut. That is cheap, hey? That is very, very cheap. What is he doing with the donut? Oh, he's wrapping it in a piece of paper. This is proper, like, it's just like a different world, you know?
It's a different world.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap my donut in a notebook of an old, it looked like an old accounting book that he kept. It just goes to show like how scarce certain things are. Walks back onto the street where there's no paved roads. It's just like a mud sort of track thing. Yeah. It is, yeah. Okay, so he's just done an e-cash payment there. Cool.
And
Cool.
he came very likely, I'm not sure, it's one of the other tweets, maybe that's one of the next one you have up. He finished the Bitcoin diploma cohort some months ago, the student.
Yeah.
There we go, with Belly.
This is Belly. This is the guy that I hang out with in South Africa. Really nice chap.
Yes.
Yeah, he's cool. So what's going on here? Talk us through it, Arnold. What's going on?
Yeah, so Belly is the community lead there in this Vitenko village, and he is the educator that we are in touch with in our educators network, and he is teaching the diploma cohort. I think he finished 2 cohorts so far. So all these students go through the Bitcoin diploma, history of money. They learn how to use Bitcoin, and then even eCash, which is not part of the curricula, but that's what works for them locally. And I think I'm not sure, in the subtweet, there we go. Everyone receives their graduation at the end of the cohort, all the children, and then they invite their parents. They're all proud, and yeah, this is like a full cohort of students going through the diploma.
That's amazing, absolutely amazing. These kids are young, hey?
Yeah,
and they taught it in Kirundi and French.
Yeah, exactly. And
Kirundi being one of the local languages.
They teach it on it's like chalkboard. It's not like on a digiboard or something. It's next level.
And these guys have smartphones, or how are they doing it?
I don't know about all of them. Like mainly when we discuss, it's more like operational things, like not about the details of when I talk to them about the wallets of the people they interact with. But I follow them because they post cool stuff and then learn more about BTC Schule.
I mean, it's also just like really sick to see people in a part of the world that most people will never probably visit. And
exactly. And I would never think Bitcoin is useful here or will be used, but it can be used if we build the right tools, if we bring the right education.
No, exactly. And so I can see Blink Wallet, which is the custodial Lightning wallet that used to be known as the Bitcoin Beach wallet. That is, I guess, is that your go-to wallet? Is that the one that My First Bitcoin tends to work with generally?
So we, like as I mentioned before, we're independent, so we don't promote one specific wallet. We teach people this is custodial, this is non-custodial, and these are the options, and you choose.
Right.
That's our philosophy, and then every project uses a different wallet. When we teach or when we taught, we rotate between wallets, like sometimes Blink, sometimes Aqua, sometimes different wallets. So not like one specific product that we promote on behalf of the companies, like we decide. Okay.
And then you've also shared Victoria Falls, based in Zambia. What are they up to? What are these guys going? Why should we talk about them?
They've been running, I think, 11 cohorts now. They're working on their 12th and 13th, and with that, they build a full circular economy. Yeah, here we have a cohort of I think chapter 8 or something of the Bitcoin diploma. They've been running this for 1.5 years now, I think. And you'll see on BTC Map, and they create a lot of videos about spending your Bitcoin there. And there's, it's just like the real adoption, how we want it to be, right? People that use it because they can use it, Lightning, and understanding it as well. And then also, again, like I said before, it spreads within the country. So like graduates are going out. There we go in the south.
Yeah, I thought for those wondering, like Zambia is way down here. Burundi is, my mouse is freezing, sorry. Burundi, I'm actually having to look for Burundi. Burundi is over here. Let's check Burundi first. So there apparently are 7 merchants in, is that the capital of Burundi? Gitega?
I think so, yeah.
just look at how crazy underdeveloped it is. You know, it's so rare that you zoom in on a capital city and it's. So you've got what have you got? You've got a cosmetic shop, you've got a Bet Hell hotel, you've got a study space, and you've got a food store, all accepting Bitcoin in Burundi. Awesome, just awesome. Whereas if we go down to Zambia, where's Zambia? It's over here. Where should I be looking? Lusaka, I guess, or Livingston?
Bottom left, Livingston.
Whoa.
That's where the
I mean, there's 160 was it? 160 merchants in Livingston, which is basically on Victoria Falls.
Exactly.
Wait, I might be there soon. I might be in that part of the world soon. Is Victoria Falls the massive waterfall, the biggest waterfalls in Southern Africa?
Yes, it is.
Oh, cool. I could maybe check it out then. Interesting. But yeah, that is. So he's the guys behind Victoria Falls have created this huge economy project there. Is that right?
Yeah, and there are a couple more projects around, like Bit Juniors Academy and Bitcoin Campus Zambia, and there's now a fourth one starting. So all of them collaborate as well, but Bitcoin Victoria Falls is the biggest one. And I would say that all these pins here is simply because of them and because of the education and all the cohorts that they ran. So big credits to them.
It is mad when you look at Africa and you just see this sort of southern, and eastern part of Africa is just covered in Bitcoin-friendly merchants. Still a long way to go, but it's pretty cool to see. Hey, it's pretty cool to see. That is wild, absolutely wild. I'm just going to check in with the chat and see if anyone's commenting, asking for any questions. So there's a fella called T. Jacobson who's currently traveling in Madagascar. He taught 2 people about Bitcoin already, showed them your stream from the slum in Kenya. Thank you, mate. That is very kind of you. And they said it's very relatable to people here in this country. They loved it. Thank you. I should pin that comment, shouldn't I, really? Have you seen the video I made, Arnold, about Kenya?
About Kibera? Yes, it was amazing. Yeah.
Thanks, dude. I'm going to chuck that in the chat if anyone is looking for it. This is the link. It is a very, very advanced Bitcoin circular economy in Kibera, which is a slum in Kenya. And there they're using Bitcoin as money day to day for everything from toilets to, snacks on the street to I've still got a jar of honey from Kibera that I actually had this morning in a smoothie. It was very good. It's very, very good stuff. Alvio, I think, has a question. I'm sorry I haven't seen your question, but feel free to chuck it in if you do. And if not, we'll go back to discussing other parts of My First Bitcoin and other parts of Arnold's sort of career. So, here's a question. If you had unlimited funding, because presumably funding was one of your sort of pain points. If you had unlimited funding, what would you build for Bitcoin education? What would you do for Bitcoin education? What would you do with that money?
We have a lot of ideas already. So I think two of the big things that we would focus on, and we're already planning to do it, is to build or improve our digital tools for. Okay, starting point. We try to meet with all these educators once a month. The network exploded so fast, so rapidly, that we could not host all the people. They could not talk to each other in the Google Meets. So I had to put them into breakout rooms, which is very difficult. And so then we started to use a different tool, which is called Work Adventure. It's like an open source immersive place where people can walk around to their own rooms and they can talk to each other about whether they want to talk about funding or operations or education or whatever. So we build this digital environment, almost like a conference, but digitally. Okay. And what I would love to do is to really improve this part of our technology of My First Bitcoin, that we can facilitate a conversation between educators, maybe a digital conference where we can really invite everyone from all over the world to come, especially the ones that cannot travel because of visa restrictions, because of financial restrictions, to still exchange knowledge or best practices or challenges with each other in this digital environment. So we've been doing a couple of calls in this software already, but we need to improve much more. So that will be one thing, to really build tools so people can connect better and really talk to each other. Okay. And I think the other thing with unlimited money, two other things. The other thing would be to improve everything in terms of some kind of we have an online school where people can run online cohorts. We have a community hub where people can talk to each other right now on the fora and questions and read wikis to really merge that together, build our own stack of software that really is sovereign, let's say, what really works for our needs, so we can do more and faster and better onboarding. And then the third thing I would say is more from the education team. Like, we built the Bitcoin diploma, but we're launching more curricula soon. Bitcoin for organizations. So if you want to orange pill your organization, you can use that one. Bitcoin for juniors, which is a diploma kind of version for younger kids. Bitcoin for teens is coming. So we can really develop more tailored curricula for different target audiences, and really build more systems around it, so it is as easy as possible for people to use.
Okay. Wow. Okay. But is there like one pie in the sky idea that you'd like love to do? Like, I don't know, say you had someone chucked 1,000 Bitcoin your way and said, Arnold, do that thing. Like, what would you do? Would you buy a Super Bowl ad? Would you, would you plant like?
No, it is a boring answer, but what I would really love to do is to give the tools to all these educators that you just saw. So provide them with, let's say, 50 books each. They have a banner. They have maybe like a little hardware wallet as a demo version. They have like a Kickstart parcel. And like, I guess with like $1 billion, that's nothing, but I know it can make a big difference for them already. And like, even though we don't want to fund all these projects, to at least give something to them to like speed up their timeline. And I think that's the thing that I would love to do most, but it's a lot of logistics, and it's a bit more tricky to send like all these books and banners and all these tools physically to all these places.
Okay. And what's the part about Bitcoin education that most excites you, or most sort of inspires you?
I think because the main part is that once you really understand it, you're really going to change how you live, how you look at things, how you make decisions. And I've seen it with so many Bitcoiners already that they lower their time preference. They're looking different at their health, at their savings, at like everything. And I'm like, if we can embed this into like small communities everywhere, that's how we should change how we interact with each other and like build this better world, I suppose.
That whole thing of once you understand Bitcoin, like you can't change Bitcoin, but Bitcoin changes you, changes the way you look at the world, the way you approach your relationships, your money in particular. Yeah. Although I think that process of being orange pilled, I don't worry that like fewer people are getting orange pilled, but I think that more and more people are just grokking that Bitcoin is an investment and a savings tool, but they don't sort of get any deeper down the rabbit hole. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that everyone should like give up on eating vegetables and just have steak and, live out of suitcase and do what like a lot of people I know do. Like, because I think that Bitcoin in many ways is kind of like the hippie movement of the 2020s.
Right.
There are a lot of like, if I was born in another decade, I probably would have been a hippie in some way, shape or form, And then, but I wanted to be productive too. Like, I do want to work. I really do I do see the value in work. And Bitcoin makes you realize that, but then also realize that, I just need to earn in Bitcoin, save in Bitcoin, and then I can think about my future differently. Whereas if I compare my approach to money now and my approach to my future now to what it was like when I was in my early 20s. In my early 20s, I was like, this is totally rubbish. Like, it's going nowhere. And everything's getting more expensive and I can't keep up. And it feels like the work I'm doing is totally meaningless and it's for someone else, for the purpose of like some return or some investment or some just something that I don't care about and have no vested interest in, because it doesn't seem to make the world a better place, no matter how way I spin it, no matter which way rather I spin it. And with Bitcoin, it's like, oh crap, I can make a dent in the universe with Bitcoin, and I can do it in a way that makes me excited to get out of bed each morning. And I can also, save for the future as well. So isn't that like a wonderful thing? But I just worry that so many people just get caught there and they don't get further down the funnel.
Right. Yeah. I think it also depends on how we educate people. That's also like we have been orange pilled, like if you really call the word orange pill at some point as well, because something clicked, right? And whether we did it ourselves by watching the right videos or reading the right books, but you also need to really see how big, let's say, the universe of Bitcoin is. It goes from like physics to computer science to history to like it has so many aspects and elements. You just need to find the right angle for you to really dive into it. And maybe also to come back to your question, what I think, why education? I've started to see also much more over the past years that there are so many use cases that people don't understand. Like there's, 4 billion people that live in authoritarian regimes. There are like 2 billion people that live in countries with more than 10% inflation and blah, blah, blah. And you can make all these overviews like, wow, there is really a need for it if you don't see it. But just by understanding this part of the world, I guess, Bitcoin is just a very small thing in it, but you can also start to understand how the world is not working properly on a lot of levels. And then Bitcoin is maybe not the education itself as a solution, but at least it gives you more perspectives on what's going on worldwide. But that's also more for me personally. I like to explore those parts of the world and of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I suppose it does give you a different lens. It gives you a different pair of glasses to see the world from, which is a welcome thing sometimes, right? Because you can just get caught up in seeing the world the same way you've seen it forever, and it lets you walk into views.
I never knew about, like, let's say the French franc, the West colonial franc, and the East colonial franc in West Africa. These currencies that are owned, controlled by France, and now it is like, okay, I will know this forever, and otherwise I would never have cared. And Bitcoin taught me that, basically. And it's not even about I need that solution in Togo, but other people may need it, even though they don't know it yet. And that's why education is exactly why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, no, bang on. And that is why we should support free open source education projects such as My First Bitcoin. And if, I do this regularly now on this live stream, but if you have a project, if you have an idea, please just go and do it. Please go and do it with Bitcoin on top, and please use these resources such as My First Bitcoin, such as the Plan B network stuff, whatever you like, whatever takes your fancy, take it, copy it, change it in whichever way you think is best, make it applicable to your local cultural circumstance, but do it.
Yes.
Like, just do it. Like, it's.
Yeah, 100%. And if you don't need permission, but you can always reach out to me as well. I'd love to help you get started. It's my job to help to make it easier for you to educate. So yeah.
Yeah, bang on. Okay, we are going to switch to talking about El Salvador now. What a lot of people refer to as Bitcoin country. But before we get there, should we fly to the Netherlands first? Like, you are Dutch originally. What is the state of Bitcoin like in the Netherlands? There's quite a few interesting touch points. There's Bitcoin Arnhem, the world's longest running Bitcoin circular economy. There is Bitcoin Amsterdam, which is, Bitcoin Magazine's foray into Europe, where they call the Netherlands Europe. And it's all quite fun and games.
And they call the Netherlands Amsterdam.
That's it. Yeah. Like, it represents the whole country. There are lots of famous Dutch Bitcoin OGs and good explainers. And there are lots of even like analysts and things. Is the Root is Dutch, isn't he? I forget.
The Root is Dutch. Aaron van Weerdum, I guess. Even Plan B from the
Plan B is
Stock
Dutch.
Flow.
Yeah. He blocked me, so I forgot about him. But, good night, Aussie. Enjoy your sleep. He is going to bed in Australia. Okay. So what's the vibe like in the Netherlands, Arnold? And how would you sort of evaluate Bitcoin adoption over there?
Yeah, I would say it's twofold. So on one hand, I think like the real maximalist community is one of the strongest in the world. If you look at the amount of nodes per capita, it's, I think, second highest in the world. So like there are a lot of real Bitcoiners, so to say. They run a node, they connect Lightning channels. There is like, the Netherlands is not very big, but there are 14 different meetups all over the country in all the cities of the provinces. So there's a real dense community, and if you want to, you can go to a meetup every week almost if you travel a little bit. Cool. At the same time, it's been really, really difficult to start Bitcoin companies lately in the Netherlands. So of course, there's been the AML, D5, markets in crypto assets, but also some more anti-money laundering stuff, which made it really difficult for people to start Bitcoin companies. So a lot of them left around 2019, 2020 to Switzerland, to Panama and other countries. And there's only been like one or two like real Bitcoin companies that started in the past 5 years, like substantial, let's say. Of course, there's a lot of grassroots initiatives, but then they hit the ceiling because like to get a registration, it's super expensive, and you need to comply to all these things about things that you don't want to do. And I think the reason is that the Dutch market is regulated by the central bank, or it used to be, which is first of all strange because they only work with big banks, commercial banks that have a compliance officer, that have like a CEO. They have like all different people with different hats, and then you as a Bitcoin company have to go to the central bank to explain what you're doing 4 times with your 4 different hats. Like I'm doing this, like it's very difficult to start something new in the Netherlands, so to say. So that's it. Like it's been, from companies' perspective, not much innovation at all anymore. But from a community perspective, it's super strong.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there are the Node Runners Radio as well, right? You've got Satoshi Radio.
Yes, Satoshi Radio and Node Runners had their own conference last Saturday. Like there's Bitcoin Amsterdam, but they also organize their own Bitcoin conference as Node Runners. So there's a lot happening.
There's a lot of activity. And is it mostly in Dutch then? Like, would you say like 90%, 100%? Because the Dutch are very good English speakers typically. Yeah.
Like all these meetups and also these events are in Dutch, but I bet if you come, everyone will talk English.
Okay. Yeah, they don't mind, do they? I mean, a couple of people that were commenting on the live stream today were commenting in English when they're obviously Dutch. It is certainly an OG place. And what about Arnhem? Because presumably you've been there a couple of times. Do you know what it's like?
Yeah, Arnhem. That's a little bit the same as my introduction about innovation is killed. It was I think the first Bitcoin circular economies in 2014. I think they onboarded up to 120, 150 businesses around 2016, 2017. Mm-hmm. And after that point, regulation changed. So the software that was used needed to be changed. You couldn't do conversion back to euro because of that. And then the number of merchants stagnated. But still, it's you can buy a lot of things with Bitcoin there. There was the Adopting Bitcoin conference 2 years ago in Arnhem. So there's been one in El Salvador, or many in Cape Town, but also one in Arnhem, and still meetups going on. And yeah, it's funny because it's so close to where I used to live, and it's one of the best. Yeah.
Oh, sick. Can you live completely on Bitcoin in the Netherlands?
Completely, I don't know, but you can. Like you should ask Patrick. Patrick is the co-founder of Arnhem Bitcoin City, and I bet he is using Bitcoin multiple times a day. Yeah,
multiple times a day. Okay, and I guess Bitrefill has good penetration there. Are there Bitcoin for not gift cards, Bitcoin for debit card sort of solutions there as well? Like I recently experimented with one called LN. What was it called? LN Sim? I forget what it's called. Kale was messaging me about it, and it's a very good solution. But I wonder if there's one.
I don't know. Like to be honest, I'm not spending much time in the Netherlands anymore lately. I don't know what's available in the Netherlands about debit cards.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, but yeah, if you are going to the Netherlands, then go check out Bitcoin Arnhem. If you care about Bitcoin Magazine, go and check out their conference there. I will not be there, but lots of cool Bitcoiners are going. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. I think it's like next week or something, isn't it? It's in a couple of weeks' time.
1.5 weeks, I think.
Okay, so let's completely change destinations. Let's go all the way over to El Salvador, a place that you visited. You traveled around quite a few times, and naturally, with My First Bitcoin headquarters being there or used to being there, there's an interest for you in El Salvador. What do you make of Bitcoin in El Salvador currently? Actually, no, let's talk about history. Let's talk about your first impressions. Let's bring us up to speed, because you had a viral tweet thread on your Twitter that showed, using Bitcoin around El Zonte, I think it was, which I will bring up on screen just now. What was your sort of impressions of Bitcoin in El Salvador when you went there the first time? And I'm going to bring up this tweet thread from... Is it 2023? God, time flies.
Time flies.
Here you go. This was the
my first time going to El Salvador was in 2021 August, so before the Bitcoin legal tender law. I went there just because I wanted to see what was going on, and also to create some kind of a documentary about this week, like what happens in Bitcoin legal tender week. So that's what I did. When I arrived, I could find one place that accepted Bitcoin. It was a barber store in San Salvador. So it was nothing. And then, of course, in El Zonte, Bitcoin Beach, there was things happening. During legal tender day, of course, all the big food chains started to accept Bitcoin: Starbucks, Pizza Hut, Wendy's, etc. So like on that day, you could see a switch. And then in the weeks after, there was like a gradual increase of, I guess, merchants using Bitcoin and like the community trying to support everything that's happening locally. And then 2 years later, the tweet thread that you just showed was me trying to summarize what was really happening. I think it was, how to say this? There was a lot happening because there were a lot of Bitcoiners putting energy into El Salvador, right? So there was a lot of grassroots initiatives and new companies started. Bitcoin Berlin as another circular economy, meetups all over the country, etc. So, and then, since 1.5 years. So I've been in El Salvador many times. I've been there since the beginning of my first Bitcoin, because like it's where I met John during legal tender week. And then I only joined the team of my first Bitcoin 1.5 years ago.
Okay. John is the founder or co-founder of My First Bitcoin?
Founder, yeah.
Okay. So when was the last time you were in El Salvador?
In April.
April this year,
there.
okay.
Yeah.
And are you going for, there's a conference next week, no? There's adopting. Are you going for adopting?
Yeah. Going for adopting. We have our own unconference the day before, educators and conference. So we bring all the educators together too.
Okay. And so like if you look back at the past 4 years now of you visiting El Salvador, how would you evaluate how Bitcoin adoption has gone? Like particularly as now we have the legal tender law being revoked. We have, the IMF saying that the government can't buy Bitcoin, but maybe they are buying Bitcoin. Who cares? Should we care? Like, we don't know. How would you sort of evaluate how it's gone over the past 4 years?
I think 4 years ago, there was nothing. Then there was the law. Then there was still nothing for a bit until people started to build. And then like you see this uptick of everything: projects, adoption, education. Then after some point, I guess 1.5 years ago, things started to change slightly. It's also the change with the IMF, unclarity about what's really going on. Is it Bitcoin country or not? Like you can call it Bitcoin country, but is it really? And the past year, I like, again, I'm not living there, so I don't have full clarity. I'm just visiting. I'm a regular, and when I'm there, I meet the same people. But I feel like there is a bit more people leaving or considering that, like, is this really Bitcoin country? Is this what is going on? Like, there is not clarity about what is the plan with Bitcoin country.
Right.
So there is adoption. People still building, but it's not like the honeymoon phase of the first 2-3 years, so to say, that everyone went there. And because everyone went there, it's great to be around and you start building. And then like you're at the tipping point, maybe because it's just 2-3 years in, that people start to change their perspective, or they've seen enough, or it's not the cool thing anymore. But again, that's my personal opinion. I visit every half a year because my first Bitcoin, and because I like spending time there.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome country, and I would encourage anyone to go. So would you say that we had this, like, there was zero, right? The graph went like slowly up, and I guess it accelerated. And what would you say this graph of adoption is doing now? Is it still going up to the right, or are we plateauing? Are we going down? Like, what's happening now?
I would say plateauing or going down slightly. Yeah, but like, again, it's difficult to say because I'm not spending a lot of time there myself, and my main focus is the global part of my first Bitcoin. And like I said in the beginning, we go from local to global, which means that less focus on what's happening in El Salvador and more on what other people are doing. all over the world. So like that is also like, I guess, stagnating the education in El Salvador slightly. If not, if maybe other people take over.
Okay. And would you say that government support for Bitcoin in El Salvador has completely evaporated, or was it never really there in the first place? You know, is it that community driven has taken over?
So I think since the beginning of Bitcoin El Salvador, it was always the community doing a lot of the work, like education, initiatives, companies. There are still things happening. There's, for example, like the Bitcoin Historical Conference a day before adopting Bitcoin or 2 days before, that is organized by the government. So they do things for sure. I don't know how much the impact is of such events on, let's say, the grassroots adoption, but there are Bitcoin things happening for sure. They still teach in public schools, as far as I know, but like I don't have full clarity about that.
I mean, Russell Brand is headlining that conference. Like
okay,
that guy knows nothing about Bitcoin. Like, you know, he was given, I think he's friends with Max Kaiser, right? He was given,
yeah, I think so.
He was given money by Max Kaiser. He was given Bitcoin by Max Kaiser like 12 years ago or something, lost it. And since then, he's just been chatting a lot on Rumble, which is great, like good for him. But why is he headlining a Bitcoin conference? That's sort of my question. I don't get that.
Yeah, like I have my questions, and I guess that's okay. For me, the real adoption is grassroots, and if there's a government trying to support the grassroots things, that's good. If they're doing their own things on top of it, that's good. And what these headliners have to do with it, I don't know.
It is odd, hey? It is odd. But then again, it also, you know, he has 20 million followers, right? He is huge. Right. Like he is, and he's massive on Rumble now. So maybe it brings some sort of like celebrity je ne sais quoi to Bitcoin Historica. Right. So good for them, right? Good for them. But
yeah,
I'm like,
it's like maybe the summary is there are things happening. It's not my type of thing, and with my first Bitcoin, there's a lot of other things to focus on. And
okay,
that is like that includes like handing over, like let's say meetups to the community. It is focusing more of our energy and time into serving educators worldwide, because that's where the big demand is right now. Like you really see that, and the big demand. I guess there's always demand for education everywhere, but there's also a ceiling in El Salvador, if you know what I mean. And like we can help 8 billion people if we find those that empower others.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was on a stage recently with Mike Peterson as a debate in Lugano. Right? Yeah, and the question was, is El Salvador still Bitcoin country? And I was sort of making the case that it was never Bitcoin country. And then I was making the case that it's no longer Bitcoin country. And eventually we came to the conclusion that yes, El Salvador was Bitcoin country, and it still is, because of like, it reached a critical mass of adoption, and it was the first mover. It did some really cool stuff at the start, but then it did fall short. You know, Bitcoin City is a failure. It's not gone anywhere. The Bitcoin zones around Bitcoin City also haven't gone forward. The volcano bonds, which was supposedly about, you know, Bitcoin stuff and finances, they haven't gone forward. And on top of that, you had the, what was the last thing? Bitcoin mining, state level Bitcoin mining. There's a teeny tiny mining rig next to one of the geothermal mining facilities, but it's not like they are doing what Bhutan or other sort of states in the US have done in terms of Bitcoin mining.
And then there's IMF on top of it. So yeah, there are a couple of things that like, is it Bitcoin country? On the other hand, the thread that went viral is about like using Bitcoin. So yes, for sure. Like maybe that's the same conclusion that you came to with Mike Peterson. It's there is a lot of Bitcoin. It's the place where I can do Bitcoin payments every day as well.
Yeah.
Does that make it Bitcoin country? I suppose. But eventually, Bitcoin country is also a label for marketing. And yeah, like
you do agree then? You agree that El Salvador is still Bitcoin country?
I do agree that it is a country where you use Bitcoin a lot. Does that make it Bitcoin country? I don't know.
Interesting.
There are so
Do you
many
think-
other places where Bitcoin is heavily used without legal tender, and it was a great kickstart. And I guess I have some kind of problem with calling it the Bitcoin country, like because then like they're going to be forever Bitcoin country, and no one else can be Bitcoin country.
Yeah.
It's like that's not why I'm here for.
Yeah, no, that's a nice way of answering it. But did you ever think in the first place that El Salvador was the Bitcoin country? Did you ever subscribe to that in the first place? You did.
Yeah, I guess in the same honeymoon phase, like also when there was really this uptrend that you could see it, like you could notice the energy every time when you went to meetups, you met new people, new projects, new ideas, and yeah, for sure.
It was super exciting. And I mean, the first video I made about El Salvador and Bitcoin was in 2021, and I shared it on Cointelegraph. And I basically said that there is no place on earth that has this level of sort of fervor and excitement about Bitcoin. And
exactly,
you've got this laser-eyed president. You've got all these promises of like really sick things, because this is when it was like volcano bonds and Bitcoin City and state-sponsored Bitcoin mining, all these like crazy promises coming out, and we're going to buy 1 Bitcoin a day forever, and all this stuff. And it was cool. It was, and now you look back and you go, oh God, yeah, it was great marketing, and maybe we got caught up in that, and we wanted it to be something that it hasn't transpired to.
Right. Yeah. So then I guess that's was part of my answer is like, is it Bitcoin country because of all these big headlines and promises, or is it Bitcoin country because of the adoption? Well, there is adoption, so I guess it's Bitcoin country. But does it have to do with all these marketing? Well, not for me. Like, yeah, everyone can announce those things, and that doesn't make it Bitcoin country.
Yeah. And it's quite hard to establish what a criteria of a Bitcoin country is, and certainly to become the Bitcoin country. But equally, it does open up the floodgates for another country to do certain things to make it.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
No, it is.
All right.
Net positive.
Let's do the recipe now. Let's do the recipe. What do you think is necessary for a country to become a or the Bitcoin country?
So, this is an easy question. The government should get their education fixed first. Like, you cannot announce a law without explaining people what Bitcoin really is. Like, there was not any effort in explaining Bitcoin, and that's why my first Bitcoin started in the first place. Like right now, there are curricula. You can take it, you can implement it. There are training programs, but that's only because I don't need to talk about my first Bitcoin necessarily, but like we started to build it because there was a demand and a need, because there was nothing set up in the first place. So I think if we go to country number 2 and country number 3, the big lesson to take from El Salvador is that like announce something, but think about how to roll it out, and not as soon as possible within 60 days because whatever, it sounds cool. Because maybe it helped to kickstart and get all the people into the country, but then it's again more marketing perspective, and it did work well. But if you really want to make a difference with really using Bitcoin in your country, you make sure that people start to understand it beyond the law itself. And I think that can be improved much more. And maybe because El Salvador was the first, it was difficult to get started because there was nothing there yet. But that is a big takeaway for me, I guess, for any other president listening to your live stream.
So the most important way in which a country can become a Bitcoin country is through education. They have to, in some way, involve Bitcoin in the education of the country. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah. Like, how else are they going to learn about it?
It's not about Bitcoin mining. It's just education.
Put it into like the curricula, like put it in every school, and then it will be used because if you explain it properly, people will start to see it's the next big thing, and then it will be used without a law even.
Wow. That's quite a radical take, though. Like if you ask the average Bitcoiner, what does it take to become a Bitcoin country? They'd probably say the country's got to buy like 10 Bitcoin a day or something. They've got to hold their own keys, and maybe something a bit rogue, like the president has got to run a node, and maybe like Bitcoin as legal tender needs to be a thing. But for you, it's all about education. That's cool.
Yeah. Like, of course I can do it, but it's not going to change the country if a government or a president has Bitcoin and puts a laser eye tweets on his Twitter. I think it comes back to like basically the whole theme of today. What we've been talking about is the change will be grassroots, community-led, and preferably independently, because that's when Bitcoin really stays how it should be and it won't be captured. Whether it's Wall Street or eventually governments, they can capture it too. So we should protect it with independent education, grassroots, community-led.
Okay, we have a question here from from Plastic, who said that I've heard that El Salvador teaches children from age 7. That will have a huge impact in 10 to 20 years. Is that right, Arnold? I assume it's Bitcoin, by the way. I assume you're saying I heard that El Salvador teaches children from age 7 about Bitcoin.
I heard it too. I have not verified. So we have been involved in creating some kind of curricula. It has not been open sourced as far as I know. It's been living its own life, so to say. So my first Bitcoin is not involved in teaching children from age 7 in the school system. If it's true, it will have a huge impact, but I don't know.
Wait, this is one of because Max has brought up the same thing. He says to educate the children, like El Salvador is doing, it's the way forward. So are kids learning about Bitcoin in schools in El Salvador?
I suppose, yes. It used to be. So there is this.
There are schools that you guys put on that my first bit, because I attended those. I've seen those, I've seen the graduation programs. I quizzed the kids. I did it in 2021. I did it in 2023. There were places where my first Bitcoin set up diplomas within schools. So there were certainly kids doing that.
Yes. We have been teaching in public schools for 2 years, I suppose. Right now, we don't teach in public schools. We teach everywhere in restaurants. And
so you've stopped teaching in public schools?
Yeah.
My first Bitcoin is no longer in public schools. So then that would imply that someone has stepped in there to teach in public schools.
Exactly, but that's implying. So that's why I say it's hard to verify.
Yeah. So we don't know. Then we need someone on the ground to tell us if Bitcoin is being taught in public schools.
Right, and specifically about the children of 7 years old, that is a new workbook that the Bitcoin office created with the little hodler, but I don't know how that is being rolled out.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then I also don't know the impact, but yeah, there are. It is rolled out. It is taught, but I don't know the details. It was supposed to be open source, if not mistaken. So, but hard to verify, right?
Hard to verify. I mean, yeah. Annie Vincent is saying that's what Stacey is doing now. Presumably, Stacey from Stacey Herbert from Max and Stacey. Are they teaching Bitcoin in schools to 7 years old and above? We don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
We don't know. And as with many things that we read online, we are reluctant to believe it until we've seen it. I know. Yeah. Like I said earlier, like the My First Bitcoin diploma programs across El Salvador were a thing. They were absolutely a thing. I didn't know you guys had stopped though. That's a shame. Oh, have you guys stopped and so they've sort of stepped in, or was it always the case that they were going to sort of push you aside? How has that happened?
Even that, I don't know what happened, but yeah, we ended teaching in the public schools at some point after we were invited to teach in public schools at some point as well. And ever since we teach still, but not in public schools. And now the focus is from local to global. So yeah, that's how it went basically.
Interesting. Okay, so I guess your footprint in El Salvador is going to reduce, and yeah, it will grow in other places around the world.
Yeah, and at the same time, we do support every educator in El Salvador, like we support every educator in all countries. So there are still initiatives in El Salvador also that we are in touch with, and they use the Bitcoin diploma still. But we go more into a facilitating roles for those that do educate instead of being the teacher ourselves, whether it's in a public school or in a restaurant or in a foundation or wherever else. We mainly used to teach ourselves.
Right. Okay. Interesting. I want to know more about these education programs in schools of El Salvador. Is it actually happening? Like, what's cracking there?
That's a very good question.
We need to send someone there. Well, I'm going to be there in January, but that's probably too soon. You're going to be there next month, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that'd be good. I'm just scrolling through Stacey's tweets right now to try to work out if she has tweeted about it recently. But you never know. That's kind of like the thing. Okay, so she wants to create the world's first public primary school financial education program. I mean, wasn't the world's first yours?
I think so, but yeah. And it has been open sourced, so people can make it the second and the third school and the fourth school if they want.
That's interesting. Yeah, I just went through her tweets and looked up schools, and she says you can create they're going to create the world's first public primary school financial education program. Were you teaching kids in primary school? Wait, you were? The kids that I interviewed.
Yeah, exactly. But this one is specifically a new youth curriculum with the little hodler that we are not involved with.
Oh, I see. Okay. There's clearly some stuff going on behind the scenes here, but yeah, to claim it as the first is a bit cheeky, in my opinion. But there you go. That's it's good marketing. It's very good marketing. So I guess, that's what they're up to. It'd be cool to see these classes taking place. So I guess they are. If they're in the process of announcing it, then it's not yet underway, and presumably they're not just going to drop this on a load of teachers now, are they? They're going to wait until the school term starts in January. Is it January to January, El Salvador's terms?
Yes, fairly certain about that. Yes, and yeah, exactly. Like, we are not involved in this rolling out this program as my first Bitcoin, so I cannot answer anything about it. I don't know. I only know about where we teach.
Okay, yeah, no, fair enough. Sorry, this is total speculation, which is not ideal, but there you go. Okay, mate. One quick question about El Salvador before we go on. What is one sort of misconception about El Salvador or about Bitcoin in El Salvador that you'd like everyone to sort of understand or know? For example, I'll go first. Like, El Salvador is not a country where you can get off the plane and just live on Bitcoin. It's actually quite tiring and quite a lot of work to do that. And you've got to be patient. You've got to take your time, and you can't just expect everyone to know what Bitcoin is, how it works either. You've got to really put some work in.
I guess two things about that. The first one is, like, Bitcoin did not fail in El Salvador, but it also did not succeed in El Salvador. Like, some people always want to have one or the other. Is like, did it fail? It's like, no. Is it like hyper Bitcoinization? Like, no. So there is not like a black or white answer about it, and it's still a lot of work that needs to be done to like really live on a Bitcoin standard, like an entire country. And then secondly, the reference point is always, or very often, El Zonte and San Salvador, so the capital and Bitcoin Beach. If you go outside of that, maybe apart from Berlin, the adoption is lower. So it's also easy to have like a reference point of the places that are bigger or are already Bitcoin places and see that this is what the adoption is like. But no, those are the places where it's easiest to live on Bitcoin, but it's not average.
Right. Okay. And is there one thing that you'd encourage people to do when they're in El Salvador if they go? Like, do you still have a fondness for El Salvador? Like, do you still like have a connection to the country?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like, there's so many great people. It's a great community. I have friends. There's always a lot happening. But I guess my what was your question? Like, a recommendation for people going there?
Yeah, that first, and then you said about the connections. So yeah, a recommendation for people going.
Yeah, I would say visit all the grassroots places, show your support, spend your Bitcoin, and also like go home, be inspired, and duplicate what you see. Mainly that, because I think El Salvador is a great example of how Bitcoin can be used in a lot of different places. It is not hyper Bitcoinization, but it's much better than a lot of places all over the world. And like, when you go home, there is something to take away from that and work on whatever merchant adoption, education, building your communities, because it all does exist in El Salvador.
Yeah, no, good comment. I mean, I'm excited to go back. I want to surf while I'm there as well, but that'll be in January. And nice. I think it's also an opportunity for other countries to make some headway with Bitcoin in their countries. You know, Bhutan did some really cool stuff, and then it's done some really annoying crypto stuff as well. Central African Republic did some Bitcoin stuff, and then it just turns out it was a bit of a Hail Mary and a desperate move. You know, you've got semi-Bitcoin legal stuff in Madeira, and then you have, you know, states in the US doing interesting Bitcoin things. Paraguay, Uruguay. I mean, where's one country that's really surprised you recently in terms of Bitcoin adoption?
I mentioned before Indonesia. There is the Bitcoin Indonesia team. It's not really country-wise, but they
Yeah.
do, like, adoption wise, I think it's really great in terms of, it's difficult there because officially Bitcoin is illegal, so you're not allowed to pay with anything except the rupee. So even the dollar and the euro are illegal. But they've been making a lot of progress in Bali and Surabaya, and with their community. There are a lot of meetups. I've never visited myself, but I've heard the stories from the team there and seen the impact on talking to them and on their socials.
Okay. And are there any places that you're really excited to check out very soon? Oh, sorry. I've got a call coming.
I would say Zambia as well. And then
Zambia.
like the whole south of Africa, Zambia, there is a project in Malawi, ones in South Africa as well. Yeah.
Okay, Zambia. High up on my list as well, and maybe I'll check it out in December. Cool. We are coming towards the end of this morning's live stream. I've definitely picked Arnold's brains a bit too much this morning, and I know that he's got to get on with some free open source education things. So before you go, I'm just going to pin my first Bitcoin link. So it's mepromobitcoin.org, right? Is that right?
myfirstbitcoin.io.
myfirstbitcoin.io. I'm going to pin that as a comment so people know where to go to check out your work. Is there anything you'd like to share as a closing remark as we'll wrap up this live stream in the next couple of minutes, rather?
As we go from local to global, I would really love to help everyone to get started with cohorts, running diploma classes. So go to the website, but if you have questions, find me somewhere on Twitter or Arnold at myfirstbitcoin.io. And I'm not here to sell you a book or anything, but I just make sure you have all the tools you need. And if you're missing a tool, we'd love to build it for you, because if we can build it for you, we build it for everyone. So that's mainly my invitation to join the revolution, I guess.
Nice. Okay. Plastic is wishing us to have a great one. Thank you so much. I'm going to let Arnold go, and then I'm going to read out a tweet that I really like that hopefully will inspire you all as you go about your day. So Arnold, thank you so much, mate. I'll hopefully grab you for a beer in Portugal sometime soon, no?
Yeah, let's do it. Thanks for having me. It was great.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep inspiring others with My First Bitcoin. And judging by the comments we had today, a lot of people were not that familiar with what you guys do, and were very much inspired and motivated by what you do. So keep trucking and keep doing cool shit. So well done.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe.
Cheers, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
And I will close out this live stream in the coming minutes. But I wanted to bring up something before we go any further. And that is regarding a tweet that I saw from a legend called Austin Hill. Now, Austin is one of those guys who has done some amazing work for Bitcoin in the past. He's quite an OG, and he's one of those guys that just reads vociferously. And this is the tweet that he shared. It goes like this, and I hope it's going to be a great way to start your day. My fellow Bitcoiners, Bitcoin was built so no tyrant could print it, no banker could freeze it, and no border could block it. That's something bigger than any of us, and it deserves better than what we've been doing lately. We talk a lot about what Bitcoin has done for me, or more recently, what Bitcoin community has done for me. Maybe it's time to ask what we're doing for Bitcoin. Are you running a node to keep it strong? Are you helping a newcomer set up cold storage? Are you writing, building, teaching, defending? The chain doesn't grow through memes and infighting. It grows through work, through code, through community. Every line of code, every block relayed, every person who learns self-custody, that's how Bitcoin wins. Let's stop tearing down contributors just because they don't see things the same way. Developers, miners, educators, builders, we all play a part. We need, and I've lost my thread. Beautiful. Oh no. we're finding it again. We need fewer purity tests and more pull requests. To the devs, ship code, not shade. To the miners, secure the chain, not your ego. To the holders, stack conviction, not resentment. And to the critics, review honestly, but don't burn what others built. The energy wasted on personal attacks could power 1,000 nodes. The time spent on drama could help 1 million new users go sovereign. Bitcoin is an inheritance we're borrowing from the future. Let's make sure the people who come after us find it stronger and a little kinder than we did. Ask not what Bitcoin can do for you. Ask what together we can do for freedom. Hodl the line, build the future. Don't trust, verify. This is just a sick tweet I saw recently from Austin Hill, a very, very smart gigabrain dude who, if you ever hear a podcast with his name in it, absolutely listen to it. But I wanted to read it to close out the show and to inspire you to do cool shit today and to do it with Bitcoin in mind. So thank you so much for tuning in today. My name has been Joe Nakamoto, and I have been hosting this show. I hope to catch you again very soon. Thank you very much, Plastic, for checking it out. It is a lovely read. And enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to sign out from here. Check out Roxham TV and do what you love and save in Bitcoin.